Hello, everybody. Let's get a front-facing camera here. Hello, hello. Who's here? I see Alexandria's here. Alexandra, I'm so glad you shared. You did the lives the past 2 weekends. I'll be glad to watch and catch up. I'm really starting to feel and see the difference since I started drinking better filtered water. Yeah, that's really good to hear, Alexandria. So grateful for that class. Are you talking about the mini course in my community? I learned so much, and I think drinking nickel-free water dropped my nickel amount more than any food would have. Hey, Joan. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, the research that's done on the water alone, how much nickel can get in. It is more even than food. It's really important. I've been working with several people who have been eating a low nickel diet for a while and still have some lingering issues. And I ask them, what are you doing to filter your water? And they think they're like a normal Brita filter is enough, but it's not. So definitely if you haven't made sure that your filtration of your water is good enough, take a look at I have a blog post, a video, and then a bunch of resources in my community letting you know like your different options for filtering your water. And on my resources page, if you go thelownickeldiet.com/resources, if you go to the Amazon page, I have a bunch of good filters linked in there. Awesome. Joan, so good to see you. Thank you for your email earlier. For those of you, I'm not sure, Joan, if you told me about this because it's still in my list, but there is a mineral drops from Trace Minerals Research that has been shown to have nickel in it, and Joan let me know about that, so I need to remove that from the list if it's still on there. Pam, hey Judith. All right, so normally, if you've been here before, hey Monica. If you've been here before, you know that normally when I do my lives on Sundays, I'm doing a deep dive on a topic that's related to nickel allergy, systemic nickel allergy mucositis, or even contact dermatitis to nickel. But today we're going to do a little bit of meal prep. I'm probably going to be doing several meal prep episodes over the next few weeks because number one, I'm moving. So I don't have a lot of extra time to do the big research and building the resources and the presentation and stuff like that. But also I did recently publish a couple of great low nickel meal plans that are specific to specific things, like a low histamine meal plan, a low carb meal plan, a gut healing meal plan, or gut support, like gut health support meal plan, and then a low budget since groceries have been like going through the roof lately. And I'm going to be building on those, but I would like to go through those and test them out with you guys and show them to you. And if you're interested in those, you can get them in the community. Monica, what did Monica say? I'm concerned about nickel levels in the air. I already filter my water, but I live in a volcanic island. Thank you so much for your work. Yes, Monica, were you the one that I've been emailing with about that? Because there isn't a lot of research yet on your reaction, like through your lungs, to nickel in the environment as potentially part of systemic nickel allergy. But the mechanisms are totally there because your lungs are also your inside skin. You know how I talk about a lot of people know about nickel allergy on your outside skin, allergy contact dermatitis to nickel, but also your gut has that. There's so much research to support that. But your lungs are also your inside skin that are interacting with the outside world, and pollution can have nickel in it, and people, especially people who already have maybe asthma or they're more prone to eczema, those people are called like atopy, basically. They're more susceptible to that. It's possible that you can have some like breathing associated reactions to nickel in the air, and volcanic ash does have nickel in it, so it's possible. But like I said, there's not a lot of good research about that yet, so really you just kind of have to go off of your experience. Definitely make sure your house has good filtration in the air. But all you can really focus on if you live in an environment like that is to try to reduce your nickel exposure in every other way you possibly can and reduce your immune response to that nickel, right? So while people with this allergy will never be able to get completely rid of it, you can reduce the reactivity of your immune system, and you can reduce the amount of immune cells running around looking for it by reducing the amount that's getting in. So the less your immune system sees the nickel over time, the less reactive it's going to be. You can ramp it up again by adding it back in a lot, but you can reduce that. And I've seen that with myself. I've seen it with so many people. And of course, it's going to be unique to you as well. So now I'm behind. Oh, made you guys nice and big. Is it the Body Bio Minerals? No, it's Trace Minerals Research. I don't know if I still have those on there. But Body Bio, if that's on my list, that should, that like, according to my research, they did a good job testing for heavy metals. All right, Monica, great. Yes, I can talk. Let me talk about what my plan is for the day. Okay, so I'm not doing any one of those specific meal plans. It's either, because I do have meal plans in my book too. I have like 2 different 2-week meal plans somewhere in here. I don't remember where it is though. I've got all the food lists. Yeah, I don't remember where it is, sorry. But anyway, so the meal plan today is kind of what I have been doing recently. So I'm very focused on trying to improve my gut health some more. In the past, I have been very much more low carb focused because that is what really helped me. And I think a big part of the reason that it's helped me in my adulthood is because of my allergy, because a lot of carbohydrates can be higher in nickel, right? And so when I ate a mostly carnivore, mostly animal-based diet, I did a lot better because there's such little amount of nickel in there, right? So I got in the habit of eating low carb, and low carb can be very good for people who struggle with insulin resistance and all sorts of things like that. Right now, I'm in a place where I am not having as much trouble with carbohydrate. So that's really great for me, but that's not going to be true for everybody. People with systemic nickel allergy are much more likely to have metabolic syndrome, so they're more likely to have insulin resistance issues, to have excess adipose, excess fat storage, which I definitely was that way, excess inflammation. I think inflammation from our allergy is part of the story with that. But now I have gotten myself to the point where I am less insulin resistant. Maybe it's because I've been eating low nickel long enough, but I'm not as reactive to it anymore. That said, the things that I have added in have been focused on some of the things that we have covered in the last few months about gut health improvement and about fiber. And so I'm focusing on fiber that is going to improve my colon. So resistant starch. Resistant starch has been shown to promote the creation of butyrate in your gut, which helps fuel the cells in your colon to be more healthy and less permeable. So we want to keep nickel out as much as possible. And one of the things that really helps with that is having a nice healthy gut and a nice healthy gut lining, and having a good balance of gut bugs in your small, hopefully not very many in your small intestine, but definitely a good balance in your large intestine. And so resistant starch, some good whole food options for that would be rice and potato. And those things, especially white rice and then peeled potato, like peeled white potatoes, cooked and then cooled for at least 24 hours and then reheated. The starch in them becomes much lower glycemic index, so you're not going to have as much of a sugar spike, which is really good, right? That reduces the issue with insulin insensitivity and with blood sugar getting super spiked and stuff like that. It helps keep it more smooth. It also helps those gut bugs create more of the butyrate. So I have started in my meal prep adding in a big batch of white rice and a big batch of potatoes that I then turn into things over the next couple of days. And then that way I'm getting more of that fiber, more of that butyrate. And then for my upper intestine, my small intestine, which is where most of the nickel will get through and most of the iron will get through, the important part there is to feed your gut lining cells things that you get from broth. So if you've read my book, if you have my book, you know I am a really big fan of broth and cooking broth every week, and it's a much less expensive way to get the nutrients that you need to feed your small intestine and keep it nice and strong. So today what we're gonna do is what I normally do is kind of like my foundation meal prep, which is I make broth. I usually have like a big chunk of meat that I will put in a slow cooker so that I can eat that for the next like 4 or 5 days or the next couple of days with me and my husband. And then we're gonna make some other things too. Okay, so Monica asks, that makes a lot of sense. Just curious, what about wearing gold jewelry? Some say it contains nickel. Yeah, it's gonna totally depend on how that jeweler made jewelry. I have stayed away from a lot of jewelry because I'm like lazy. Someday I will look into like good jewelry, but I know for like my watch doesn't have nickel in it, my wedding ring doesn't have nickel in it. You have to kind of look at what's like the manufacturer, what they put in it. There are things you can do, things you can buy to see if your jewelry has nickel coming off of it. And I don't know if I have that on my resources page, but you can look it up on Amazon. It's usually like a wipe that you wipe over it and it will turn a color to tell you that there's nickel in it. Can we take a butyrate supplement, I wonder? I think there are supplements with butyrate in them. You can also, there's a potato starch supplement that you could like add to your smoothies or whatnot. I put acacia fiber in my smoothies, but I have bought potato starch to put in my smoothies as well. Yes. Jen Shaner, help with constipation. So on my website and in my videos, I have a whole deep dive on fiber, and I talk about people with constipation, what supplements they may want to take or what foods they may want to eat more of to help them with constipation. I personally, that's the side of IBS that I have, which is on the constipation side. And now that I have added, I mean, my constipation was a lot better since doing low nickel, but it has been even better adding in the resistant starch from the potato and from the rice. And then I've also added in acacia fiber into my smoothies in the morning. So that's something to know, is that I'm not making a breakfast today, because normally for breakfast I have something similar to the breakfast recipe that I have in here called the Power Smoothie. So it's this one. I make a smoothie and I put some supplements in that every morning, including some like protein powder. But if you're just starting out on the low nickel diet, I would recommend reducing the amount of supplementation as much as possible. I have a lot of people emailing me about that right now that are just starting in the community, and I'm helping them personalize their diets. They're taking a lot of supplements, and there's such a high degree of nickel contamination in so many supplements. I'm starting a research project at the University of Colorado. I just got the grant to test a lot of the supplements that I would like to recommend to people, but I don't know how much nickel is in them, and so much of the research before has shown there's like so much nickel contamination, so you're getting so much extra nickel through these supplements. I really recommend reducing supplements as much as possible in the beginning and just having the bare necessities that I talk about in my book and in the course and on my website, so definitely check that out. You are welcome, Monica and Joan. Thank you for saying thank you. Okay, so let's get started. So deciding what to cook for the week, you definitely have to know what your nickel target is. If you're starting out, I recommend 50 micrograms or less. But the literature says between 50 and 150 micrograms. I know that it's really hard to be able to tell how many micrograms are in the food that you're eating. No food labels will tell you that. So that's why I wrote this book and the recipes the way I did, so you could immediately see how many micrograms of nickel per serving in these recipes, so you don't even have to do that. And also like some guidance about how to make the decision about how much micrograms you should be doing. But like I said, keeping it totally simple for yourself. If you just want it to be super easy and you don't have to calculate anything, either buy the book or just go carnivore for the first little while until your symptoms calm down, and then slowly add in lower nickel vegetables, lower nickel fruits. So for me, I don't have to be that hardcore anymore, but we're gonna calculate together later on how much nickel I am like basically setting up. So anyway, so you decide how much that is, and then I recommend like really focusing on like the foundation being meat, because that's so low nickel, almost zero nickel, and making it as easy as possible for yourself, especially at the beginning when you have such high symptom burden. I know for myself, like I was super tired, I was so itchy, I couldn't leave the house, I couldn't use my right hand. Like, so make it super easy for yourself. We'll start, I like to organize my meal prep day with the recipes that are gonna take the longest to the shortest amount of time. So for example, this roast is gonna take 12 hours. So I would start with this. And normally I would start at like 6 or 7 a.m., but we're gonna start right now. And this recipe is in my book. This is the slow cooker pork butt. You could also do it in the oven, and I give you instructions for that too. So this pork butt is a little over 5 pounds. And let's do the recipe here. So, and you don't have to do it exactly to the recipe. That some people like get all upset at these recipes. They're like, I can't have tomatoes, so I can't use this book. And it's like, well, then don't use tomatoes, you know? But anyway, maybe those are people who've never cooked before. They don't understand that recipes can be very flexible, especially if you're not baking. Like baking is super defined, but cooking like this is very like just keep things in or out depending on what works for you, right? The whole point of my book was to make it as easy as possible and as like a starting point. I'm not a chef, I'm a doctor, you know? Like I'm doing the best that I can, etc. Okay, so this one, here's my slow cooker. I put some bacon at the bottom. You don't have to use bacon if you don't want to, but it makes for a nice little taste. And also it helps like kind of get some nice fat at the bottom. And then here's garlic. So not everybody likes garlic or handles garlic well, but I do, it's fine. So the next step is to cut some holes in here and then put some garlic in the holes. So let's get some garlic. All right, so I've got some here. You see a Dr. Scott Schroeder says there will always be trace metals in any other metal. Some of us can't tolerate even trace levels, and if you have multiple metal allergies, you may react to pure jewelry. Okay, I don't know who that is, but it sounds feasible. And definitely, like, sensitivity is gonna impact how well you can handle things, right? But like I said, you don't have to be as sensitive as you are now long term. But that's not the trace nickel. I don't know if that's accurate in every single thing. Okay, what's next after this? Salt the pork. See, this is so easy, right? Like, you don't even have to put this stuff in here. Did I already put one in there? Okay. So I purposefully flipped this over to the bottom because on the top, you usually have a nice piece of fat up here, and you want to keep that on the top because as it cooks, the fat will kind of melt over the top of the meat. Wash my hands. Okay, and what's cool about this, like you make the pork, but then you can turn it into all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to like taste the same throughout the week. And I talk about different recipes that you can make from it, like pork tacos, gyros, quesadillas, crepes, salads, pulled pork sandwiches, and I have a lot of those recipes in the book as well. Okay, salt. But we do have to look at Nickel Navigator to see where foods are coming from, right? If I were to use your recipes, can I not worry at all and trust the nickel level mentioned on the page? You can never fully trust it, right? Because where food is grown can impact and like the season and that particular soil at that particular farm. But what I did, Nickel Navigator, if you don't know, Nickel Navigator, she uses research from all around the world, and she will cite, and like let's say you look up cabbage, you will see maybe readings from Ireland, from Albania, from Chicago, from South America somewhere, and you have to kind of, and then there'll be an average. So what I did for my book is I leaned towards North American averages for that. So if you're not in North America or your produce isn't coming from North America, then yeah, you may want to check Nickel Navigator to see if she does have readings from your country or where your food is coming from. But yeah, it's number one, not all foods have been tested and won't be in Nickel Navigator. But my calculations were based, like I said, more heavily towards North American values. And then, but it's still an estimate. But it shouldn't go that far outside of the bounds of my estimate unless it's like a really extreme situation. Like you randomly got some tomatoes that were grown in Hawaii and you didn't know it or something. But like I said, you can never know for certain. And that's why I like building in that buffer of like closer to 50 to 100 micrograms to give yourself a buffer when stuff like that happens. Okay, so 12 hours. Okay, so now we're gonna make the chicken broth, and I like to use a lot of chicken feet because you get a lot more of the collagen and a lot more of the proteins that help build and support your gut lining. And that way you get a lot more like of that jiggly gelatin stuff at the end. So I've got some chicken thighs here and then some chicken feet. I'm going to put this up to a boil and then take it down to low for 3 hours. And I may add a couple of little vegetables in there, and sometimes I don't add any, just salt and water, maybe a little bit of garlic, and that's it. And so now I'm gonna put filtered water. You said Scott Schroeder is the metal allergy person. I've never heard of him. Is he a physician, doctor? I think I've heard of like was it a chiropractor or something like that in Utah that is into metal allergy stuff? I don't know if it's like he was really into toxicity, metal toxicity. Is that who you're talking about? Because toxicity is very different from nickel allergy. Okay. Let's put some salt in there as my salt. Okay. Oh, is he the surgeon in Texas? Yeah, I think I have heard of him. Yeah, he focuses on the surgical aspect of it, so he's a lot more knowledgeable on that than I am. I did a deep dive on it recently, but I'm definitely I'm not a specialist in that. Much more about like allergic contact mucositis and the nickel diet and understanding how all of that impacts people with systemic nickel allergy. But people who get the allergy due to implants, that's not my specialty, right? Okay, so we've got that going. We've got the broth going. This is gonna make a lot of noise because it's wet on the bottom. That's annoying. Okay, so then, let's see. We started our broth, we started our roast. Then I'll make some rice and boil the eggs because I'm going to make a potato salad, which is a great way to have like the cold potato. And it's super yummy. So this recipe is not from my book because I kept this low carb, right? So this is a recipe that I worked on with Gemini. And so I've had it like once or twice now. It's really good. We're gonna calculate how much nickel is in it. So we need rice. So I'll get the rice started and then we'll boil some eggs and peel the potatoes. I am terrible at peeling potatoes. So if you guys have tips on how to peel potatoes without being afraid of cutting yourself constantly, I'm into it. Yeah, Organic Anthony's is, that's the brand that I got the potato starch from. Cool, yeah, Acacia also. I think that's the brand. Let me see. Oh, no, the Acacia fiber that I got is this kind, but Anthony's is a good brand. Like I said, these haven't been tested. Like I haven't seen tests on these, but this is less likely to have contamination in it. ma'am, I made the chicken salad recipe. It's delicious. How long can I keep the chicken salad in the refrigerator before there's a histamine issue? I think, I don't know exactly, but yeah, it depends. Histamine from food is not that big of a deal, like as people think. I did a whole deep dive on histamine. You should check it out. It's much more important to focus on the gut health piece and not letting nickel cross to get towards your mast cells, as well as supporting like your systemic clearance of histamine. So if you're having symptoms, histamine symptoms, make sure that they are actually gut histamine symptoms if you're really concerned about like histamine from food. But I would say with the histamine, I would recommend eating it within 2 or 3 days if you're really concerned about that. Yeah, that's what I'll say about it. Okay, so rice. So really important with rice is to clean your rice. We're gonna make 2 cups of rice. I've got this big bag of rice. But rice can easily have arsenic and other contaminants, so you really want to make sure that it's nice and cleaned. That's one of the big reasons why I didn't eat rice for a long time, because I had seen so much of the research about how much arsenic can be found on rice, and that can be really bad on the gut. But it's not quite as bad as people will make it out to be, especially if you properly clean your rice and get it from good quality sources. That, and we're going to use, this is one of my favorite pots. It's glass. This is what I use for my rice. And then I'm going to use filtered water. And we're going to do 3.5 cups of water. So I'm curious, do you guys do meal prep, or do you find it to be really like overwhelming and too much work? Like, is this helpful to people, or is it not really helpful and you'd prefer I do like a different kind of cooking? I love that you focus on food and gut health. I got all my implants out over the past 2 years. Recovered a ton, but diet was needed after the explants were done. Yeah, that's true for a lot of people, because you still have those immune cells that are reactive. I know for so many people though, they get them out and they do get such a like reduced response. And that makes sense, right? Because those implants were just giving like this constant stream of nickel and cobalt or other metals, but I know nickel and cobalt are the big ones. But yeah, if your gut health is poor and or you're low in iron, then both of those things will increase the amount of nickel that gets through. And then eating higher nickel foods, not filtering your water, all those things will really just cause so much more nickel to get through. And then you'll never like reduce that response. Oh man, I'm so glad you got those out, Alexandria. Judith, I do meal prep on Sundays to not stress and be prepared for the week. Yes, Ooh, you made gnocchi. Yummy. You'll have to share those recipes with us in the community. Potatoes and potato starch. Yes, I want that recipe. Share it. I've never made gnocchi before. I find it to be so decadent. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I'm a doctor. I'm super busy. I'm a resident, so I am even more busy. So doing the meal prep, while it doesn't cover every single meal every single day, it definitely gets me through like 2/3 to 3/4 of the week. And then on Fridays, I usually go out to eat with my husband. And then on Saturday, we'll make food together. So it's kind of a perfect way to start the week and not have to worry about it for a while. Okay, so we've got the rice working on boiling. The next thing was the eggs. So this is a pan that probably has nickel in it. Not all my pans are perfectly nickel free, right? So you have to make choices. So because I'm cooking eggs in this that I'll be peeling, then I'm less worried about using this pan to cook. So I'm gonna boil eggs in this. The nickel will not get into the egg, I'm pretty sure. So let's get that going. Okay, and we'll use that. This broth is almost where it needs to be. Okay, that was the broth recipe. Oh yeah, so after we do the eggs, then we'll peel the potatoes, we'll start cooking the potatoes. Then I'm going to show you my sauteed greens recipe. This is a higher nickel recipe, but it's still only 25. And honestly, I think it's actually less than this. This is kind of like a high estimate. Plus you don't have to have a ton of it, right? But it's a great way to get greens in, and it's super delicious. Like, nobody ever talks about this recipe, but it's one of my favorites in this book, actually. And then I'll show you, then we'll make the potato salad. And then that will be the end, because we're not going to stay on stream for 12 hours waiting for the roast to be done. Okay. Potatoes and potato starch. Okay, excellent. Yes, I'm looking forward to the recipe. Okay, so what are we doing? Oh, the potatoes. Okay, so the recipe that Gemini wrote for me, if you guys don't know, Gemini is the Google AI. And basically, where did it go? Potato salad recipe. Okay, 2 pounds of potatoes. So I already measured those out and rinsed these off. And this is about a little bit over 2 pounds of potatoes. So we need that. We need 4 eggs. We need some mayonnaise. I do have, you want to make sure there's no soy in it. I have mayonnaise in here that does have soy in it, but I should also have mayonnaise that does not. There it is. Okay, so I have this, can you guys see that? Classic mayonnaise. It's definitely more expensive, but it does have better ingredients. Yolk, sunflower oil, you know, sunflower oil is, but definitely better than soy. Distilled vinegar, salt, sugar, lemon juice, citric acid, lemon oil, and has egg. So we'll use this. And then there's some mustard. There is chives. There is celery, salt and pepper, and that's pretty much it. But it's really good. Okay, put broth is boiling, so I'm going to put it on low. We're eventually going to put the lid on, but not quite yet. Oh, it's going to go over. Don't go over. Get some of this scum off. How many of you guys make broth? Am I just like screaming into the void and nobody makes it? I know it can seem like a lot of work, but it's so worth it. It's so delicious. And you can make so many good things from it. Really good soups. You can use it in a lot of dishes in my cookbook. Okay. Okay, we're gonna peel these dang potatoes. I hurt myself really badly when I was a kid. Peeling, I cut myself, and ever since then I've been afraid. I have been afraid of doing it again. So that's why you're gonna see how bad I am at peeling. My grandmother, she peeled potatoes like multiple times a week. She was so good at it. She would do it just with a knife. She would sit on the couch and like peel potatoes with a knife. She was awesome. I miss her. Oh, Alexandria, all the gut health things you say I do. Awesome, I love it. Compliant. Pam, I make broth. It's not that hard. Freeze what I don't need for the week. Yeah. And that's a good tip for people who are concerned about histamine, or they're at the beginning of their journey, so they've got a lot of reactivity, and so they want to reduce as much histamine as possible. You can make the broth and then freeze a lot of it that you're not going to have for the first day or two, and then you can just reheat it, and that will reduce the histamine load. But yeah, if you guys got tips on the peeling, I'm here for it. We're also going to be boiling these potatoes in a what's it called? A potentially nickel contaminated pot. But it's what I got. You just got to do what you can. They will be being boiled in nickel-free water, but that's why it's better to just, you know, try to give yourself as much buffer as possible so that you can handle when things are not perfect. And maybe I'll find some like pot company that will send me a pot to show you guys, and then I don't have to buy it. Who's got the extra money for that, right? When I first was diagnosed and knew I had to eat a low nickel diet, I only bought silverware. I changed my silverware, so I used Nork silverware that has no nickel in it. And I got a frying pan that didn't have nickel in it. Stainless steel, I should say. So it wasn't stainless steel, it was like ceramic, and then also cast iron. And I just used that, and I didn't like spend a bunch of money on replacing everything in my kitchen. I did that slowly over time, and I still haven't fully replaced things. And here I am, I'm doing so much better. I'm super fine, you know? So I wouldn't get like super obsessed with like spending a ton of money just on like the most essential things, like a water filter and maybe a cast iron pan. I have a peeler that you use working towards yourself, not away. Oh, Judith, you are so full of wisdom to share. Definitely, I should learn about that peeler. Judith, I'd love to make broth again. Very glad you share the recipe. Yeah, I mean, the recipe's in my book. It's on my website too. That has more things in it than the one that I typically make. I keep it really simple, you guys. I'm lazy. So I just put the meat in, water, some salt. I did put a little bit of garlic in this time. Okay, the water's boiling for the eggs. Let's put those in. What? You guys, I didn't turn on the rice. What am I doing? Okay, let's turn that on. Okay, and then I also always forget about how long to boil eggs. So let's ask, hard boil eggs. Oh. You know, there's that strategy where you put everything in and then you get it up to boiling and then you put the cover on. You remove heat, cover, let sit for 10 to 12 minutes. But I didn't do it like that. Hot start method. Bring a pot of water to a rolling boil. Gently lower large eggs straight from the fridge into boiling water. Boil for 13 minutes. Okay, let's do 13 minutes. Okay, that's the egg timer. There's my broth. So I'm gonna put the cover on that. Okay, back to this. And then once the rice is boiling, then we'll put it to low, and then usually I do it for like 16 minutes, and then it's usually ready. All right, I can't see you guys. An easy way to boil eggs. Put eggs in water, cover, bring to a boil, turn off water. See, that seems like the best way to do it. That's like reducing one step. I like the fewest steps possible. Ooh, useless facts. I want to see what that is. Six minutes if put, 6 minutes. Am I doing it for too long? I think 6 minutes, isn't that soft-boiled eggs? I love soft-boiled eggs. Soft-boiled eggs on toast. That's like a big family recipe on my mom's side of the family for breakfast. My grandfather would make the best pancakes and the best, what's it called? Scrambled eggs. I only have one grandparent left. I'm at that age. You start worrying about your parents. They start going to the emergency room. It's no good. All right, you guys, I did it. And I didn't hurt myself. Okay, not so bad. I mean, I'll cut off some of these spots. Okay, so we've got that. Let's rinse my hands. We're going to cut these up. Oh yeah, this isn't the right recipe. We're gonna cut these up. Oh, look at that, I missed all that. You guys distracted me. Okay, so we'll chop these up. We'll put them in a bowl, or actually, okay. Let's do filtered water for the potatoes. Let's get a nice big knife. Look, I'm breaking the rules. This is supposed to be for bread. I don't really eat bread very often. Hey Google, set a timer for 3 hours for my broth. Okay, and then this is the stainless steel pot that I'm using for the potatoes. Don't judge me. Okay. Okay, let's start the boil on this. We got all 4 burners going and a crock pot. If we could put something in the oven, then we would have like been total badasses, but not this week. Okay. Oh, I guess we could do it like this. Let's cut that part off. Okay, how are you guys doing? How are you holding up? Do I have a projected date when you hope to release your revised cookbook? I have a week off at the end of this month, and I am hoping to start working on it. I have been doing a lot of deep dives and gaining additional knowledge and, altering my opinion about some things. All of the updates of that are in my community and in the resources in my community, as well as in all of the deep dive videos I've been doing on my YouTube channel. So if you want access to that information and like new recipes and meal plans and stuff, that's in the community for now. A new version of my cookbook, it could be a couple months to 6 months. I think 6 months maximum. It's definitely not the priority, but yeah. But everything you need is still in the book. If you wanted more particular niche topics covered, then in the private community and on my YouTube is where you'd want to go. Because, I've done more work on the mast cell activation, the histamine, the metal implant stuff, some of the supplements. That stuff will definitely be updated after I do my research this summer on the supplements. And some tweaks that I would make to meal planning, maybe some recipes I would add or alter a tiny bit, but it wouldn't really change that much other than some of the things, extra things that I've learned that, like I said, are available for free. So the community is something you can join. Give me a second, I'll give you the link. I'm not really telling a lot of people about it, to be honest, because I want to definitely keep it small and make sure I'm giving individual attention to people. I can't do that forever, but I'm doing it right now. Let's see if I can find. So if you want to take advantage of that, I would definitely recommend joining right now. Because the whole, the thrust of the community is more for people who really need more personalized tweaking, or who want that community aspect of people who are a little bit more complex than the average person. Because that kind of help is not out there right now, and I'm trying to provide that, basically. Dang, where is this? Where is my... There it is. Yeah, so I haven't told my mailing list about the community yet. I'm just telling people who are coming to my lives, basically, and people who email me. Because yeah, I don't want it to like be crazy. I want it to like really be personalized and stuff like that. So yeah, if that's something that like you need, join. And if you have questions, you can just email me, info@thelownickeldiet.com. But yeah, I'm not doing ads. I'm not telling my mailing list about it. It's kind of like hush hush. Okay, the rice is almost there. And we have like some really awesome people in the community, like Judith in the community, Joan, I think. Lots of really great people, really smart people who've been doing this for a really long time. Yeah. We are really lucky to have each other, and I am really lucky to learn from all of you. Okay, potatoes. The rice is so close. How did board exams go? Oh, you guys really want to know about board exams? Okay, so if you didn't know, so I finished med school a year ago. Now I'm in residency. And kind of like your final step, so you can get fully licensed, is to take a third board exam. So you take the first board exam after your first year, your second board exam after your third year, and then your third board exam, usually within the first year of residency. So I took mine, and it's a 2-day exam, so it's like 9 hours a day for 2 days, which is so unnecessary. In fact, I found out that people graduating in the next couple years, they don't need the second day, like they've realized it's unnecessary, but they're still making us do it. Yeah, so the first day felt really good. I think it was because I was expecting it to be a lot harder than it was. So I was like, oh, this is so much easier than I thought. Not that it was easy. It was not easy. There's so many things, especially when it comes to drugs. I am studying to be a pathologist, which is a doctor that specializes in diagnosis of disease, not treatment like drugs. So I haven't prescribed any drugs. I haven't studied drugs. I haven't used drugs, or, well, myself, but also most physicians that graduate from medical school, they do their first year as an intern, usually in internal medicine, family medicine. So they get to practice like learning about drugs and using drugs with their patients. I don't do that. I'm diagnosing, so I'm looking at things under the microscope. I'm reading tests results. I'm doing autopsies and telling your doctors what you have so that they can work with you to treat you. So I don't know drugs very well anymore. And all of the questions where I had to choose a drug, almost all of them I was like, I don't remember. I used to know this. So that was like not the best. But there were a lot of path questions, so that was really nice. Like I remember one question, they were showing a slide image, and I literally just clicked on it, and I immediately knew what it was, and I was able to finish that question in literally 2 seconds. And I was like, why can't I get more of these kind of questions? So hopefully those will help me. The second day was a little bit more challenging, and I think it's because half of the second day it's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing, where they say like, oh, this person just came into the emergency room, and they, like, let's say they were in a car accident where they were not wearing a seatbelt, and they have this symptom, this heart rate, chest x-ray shows this, what do you do next? And you have to just like type it in, or they'll be like, what procedure do you do? Or what drug do you give? And then you like type it in, and then you go to the next question, and it's like, okay, now that you've done that, here's what happens next. Now what do you do? And so it's like a choose your own adventure, and you can kind of like tell if you accidentally killed the patient or you chose the right test or whatever. And I actually did a lot better on that than I thought. I was really worried about it because I'm not a clinician. I'm a diagnostician, like Dr. House. So I don't talk to patients that much anymore. but yeah, so I think it went well. I will say that after day 2, for the last couple of days, I've been very, very, very tired. So I think all of that stress kind of kept me going. And now that it's over, I'm really tired. I woke up this morning feeling a lot better, a lot more normal, finally. But yeah, I was telling my husband yesterday, I was like, I do not understand it. It's like there's not enough caffeine in the world. I cannot. I'm so tired. Okay, so the eggs are done. And a good way to stop the eggs from cooking, you put ice water and you put them in an ice water bath. So I'm going to do that. So put some ice. I'm going to let those cool. Okay, the rice is boiling. We've got it low. We'll cover it. This is why it's helpful to write down your plan, because it can get very overwhelming. A lot of moving parts. Alexandria, I really struggle with histamine, but found I can eat egg yolks. It's the whites that are histamine releasers, so unless there's another reason I don't know of, that could be an option. Yeah, also the whites will have more contaminants and potential allergens. The yolks are usually less problematic, and they are more nutrient dense. So yolks are very good for you. Thank you, Judith. I really appreciate the emails that I got and messages in the community, like being supportive, because it is very scary. But thankfully, if I don't pass for some reason, I can just take it again. This is not like a super high stakes exam. I just can't have a full license until I pass it. But I'm pretty sure I passed it. Like, it's very rare that people don't pass. I think only 3% of people don't pass the first time. So it'll be okay. I would say the second board exam is the most important one, because you get a score on that residencies that you're applying into use to judge you to see if they actually want you or not. So that was like a much higher stakes exam than this one. Though obviously I can't be a full licensed doctor without passing this one. But I have no, especially now I've been through it, like I have all the confidence in the world that if for some crazy reason I didn't pass it, that I will be able to pass it. It's not that bad. It's all very like foundational stuff that you learn in medical school. And the clinical stuff that I don't do as much anymore, you know, I can just do more practice questions. It's fine. Okay, let's put this. I'm gonna put this here. And we're gonna put this here. And we're gonna turn this one off. Okay, we should put these potatoes in. Oh no. I've got overflowing rice, because I put it on a burner that was too hot. Okay. Let's chill this out a little bit. Okay, we're 1 hour in. We have what is left. The potatoes are gonna cook. How long should the potatoes cook for? Let's see. What did Gemini say? Potato salad. Place the potatoes in a large pot of salted water, bring to a boil, and cook for 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, let's do 11 minutes. Actually, it's not quite boiling yet, so let's do 12 minutes. Okay, right, so now the greens. I can't see you guys anymore. Okay, so sauteed greens. One of the things that you really start missing when you start the low nickel diet is you miss greens, because a lot of greens have higher nickel. One of the things that you can do is have younger, like the baby version of greens, because they haven't taken up as much nickel from the soil yet. You could get hydroponic greens, so plants that have been grown in water only. Or you can prioritize greens that are typically lower nickel. And why don't we turn to that page in my cookbook and talk about them real quick. Oh, here's the example meal plans in the book. That's on page 30. Then I've got food lists. So here's like the general food list. You can also get this on my website and in the community. And then I've got some estimated nickel in common measurements. So instead of like the crazy grams and micrograms and stuff like that, like on the Nickel Navigator, this is in normal measurements, like half a cup or a slice or a whole fruit or something like that. So you don't have to do as many calculations. I should like put this up in the community, actually. Somebody remind me to do that. Okay, so greens. Let's go to veggies. So shallots, those aren't greens, but it's the lowest nickel onion type flavor. Shallots are really nice. I never had shallots before I became allergic to nickel. Cabbages are low in nickel. Endives, celery, pak and bok choy. So like a zucchini, cucumber, similar, escarole, radicchio, baby spinach will have a lot less nickel than normal spinach. Lamb's lettuce, butterhead, Swiss chard, iceberg lettuce, maybe. Depends on the lettuce. So what I do is, this is one of my favorite things to do because it's super easy, and I'll show you right now. This recipe is on page 216. It's called Low Nickel Sauteed Greens. And let's hydrate. So I will, cabbage. Cabbage is so delicious. It's also something I never had until I was allergic to nickel. Let's get some out. Okay. All right. I have some bok choy. I have some cabbage. I have some leeks. And I have a zucchini. So I'm gonna have to rinse this stuff off real quick. And then sometimes with the leeks there can be like dirt in between the leaves, so I try to rinse as much of that as I can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up a lot of it and put it in a, I'll show you. Basically, I'm going to cut up enough for a couple of meals so that I can just like take it out and put it in a pan real quick with some butter and saute it up really quick so I don't have to chop it every single day. Should stay good for a couple of days after being chopped. And take the outside leaves of this. Okay. The knife. Let me clean this knife real fast. The potatoes are boiling. Let's start with the zucchini. So basically I just chop up a bunch of different of these greens, and maybe one of them is higher nickel, and then a bunch of it is lower nickel, and then I'm able to get a variety. And so you get a variety of nutrients that way. And I just saute them in butter or olive oil. It's a great way to get fats and you know, vitamins and minerals. And I add it just a little bit on the side, especially if you're trying to keep it low nickel. Then give yourself half a serving, but at least you're getting some. Especially if you're missing vegetables, and I know what that is like. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Have you found in your research that a low nickel diet is beneficial for osteoporosis, maybe even reversing it or getting better DEXA scan readings? That's an interesting question. Could it help with that? It depends on why you have osteoporosis. Definitely a more animal-based diet is going to be better for bone health, because you get more of the nutrients you need for your bones and you reduce inflammation. If you have a systemic nickel allergy, then when you have nickel and your immune system is reacting, that is going to increase inflammation. When there is more systemic inflammation, then your bones will be broken down more to get nutrients from them to help fight the inflammation and whatnot. So definitely if you have that, I could see that at least slowing down the process. I would love to do a deep dive on osteoporosis if you guys would be interested, or bone health and like dietary aspects of supporting bone health. That would be a great learning experience for me. We could go over all the different tests that people do for it. Since that's my specialty, and it's going to be my specialty, I need to understand all of the tests. So I'm going to do that amount. We've got 3 minutes left on the rice. Just want to see how the rice is going. Yeah, okay. Okay. My DEXA readings were awesome the last time I did it, but that's because I also lift weights. And lifting weights is like really good for your bone health and helping like your bones be strong. When you lift weights or you even walk, it's like you're communicating to your bones, hey, we need to be strong. We need to be able to do this work. If you're just sedentary and you're not putting weight on your skeleton, then your body is like, hey, we need to preserve energy. So why are we keeping all of this energy and nutrients in the bones when obviously you're not using us? So let's use these nutrients elsewhere. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to exercise or lift weights. And you can build that back up Even if you've lost some, like there is research to show that, like even when you're older, like me, or older than me, you know, in your 40s, that's when you start kind of going actually it's in your 30s, but definitely once your estrogen starts lowering and you start going to perimenopause and menopause and stuff, like you do need to make sure you need to prioritize the exercise and putting like weight on your bones. We'll need to watch the replay from the beginning, Shuri. You can eat bok choy, yes. It's on my food list in my book. Don't you have the book? Every new vegetable possibility is exciting. Yes. And you know what? You could have any vegetable you want, just in a little bit. Some of them you have to keep smaller amounts. But remember, this is not you can never eat any of these foods. It's you want to keep the amount of nickel below 150 micrograms a day. And some people need to worry about like the amount of nickel in one sitting. They can be more reactive to it, but the more you work on your gut health around that and mast cell stabilization, then the less problematic that is. Okay, the rice is done. I'm going to turn that off. I think this is not big enough for all of the bok choy I just cut. Okay. All right, so then the next, like I would say like, I would view the cabbage as kind of the foundation of this dish. It's definitely low in nickel. And so I would do like 2/3 of the amount that you do as the cabbage. And so this is kind of like how I would cut up the cabbage. And then I'll kind of show you, oh, here's my, so this is my workhorse saute pan. So I would put, like, let's say I put like this much in there. And then maybe I put like that much bok choy. This is going to be enough for like 4 people, 4 servings. And then let's put some of the leeks and some of the zucchini. So zucchini is very low nickel as well, so you could put like more zucchini for more bulk. And then basically like olive oil and or lard or butter or whatever, and you just saute it for literally a couple of minutes. And you have a really beautiful side dish to put with your meat and your starch if you have that. But I'm going to put that in the fridge. And I can use that probably like 2 more times. Do you guys want to actually see what this looks like afterwards, or no? Let me know, because I could cook it up now. It's just I can't eat it right now, so it kind of feels like a waste. But if you'd like to see it, let me know. I'll put it here for now. Because the next thing we got to do is prep for the potato salad, because we need a 1/4 cup celery and fresh chives. A 1/4 cup celery. Okay, so I've got celery and I've got chives. Let's rinse this off. So a 1/4 cup is not that much. Some people really don't like celery, so you don't necessarily need it, but let's see. And then we could kind of chop these a little smaller if we want. Can you guys tell I'm not a chef? Not a chef. It's definitely probably more than a 1/4 cup, but that's all right. I don't mind having more crunch from the celery. What are you guys talking about? Samantha, what do others eat while still having implants in? So much pain and destruction. I would definitely keep it as low nickel as possible. I would do 50 micrograms or less. If you're having a really terrible flare, I would do carnivore. So all meat and a lot of broth. I would really focus on gut health. I was recently on the podcast Heavily Metalled, and I talked on there about the research that shows people with issues with their implants. So your body is trying to get rid of that nickel that it finds, that it gets from the implants, right? And one of the biggest ways it removes nickel from your body is through your bile. So bile, it's created by your liver, stored in your gallbladder, and then it's released through your gallbladder. And your body's trying to get rid of it through your digestive tract. Now, think about this. You've got the implant. It's leaching nickel into your stream, your bloodstream, and into your body. Your body's trying to get rid of it. It's putting it in the digestive tract. But your digestive tract could just pull it right back in. And if you have poor gut health, if you have intestinal permeability, if you're eating gluten, which will it will cause intestinal permeability, if you have a lot of stress, if you have dysbiosis, so like bacteria in your small intestine, or a poor balance of gut bacteria. If you have anemia, so low iron, then your body is going to upregulate transporters that are going to increase the amount of nickel getting through. It's going to increase, it's basically that nickel that's trying to be removed will be reabsorbed right back in. So it's just as important to focus on your gut lining and your gut health, as well as reducing the amount of nickel coming through with water and with food. So that's why I, like more than anybody else, I really, really focus on the gut health, because that is how it's getting through. That is how it's getting in. Even if your biggest problem is your implant, that is just going to recycle back through over and over and over again if you're not addressing the gut health piece. All right, Pam wants bone health deep dive. Let's do it. I'm going to write it down. Bone health. Somebody else asked me for like a metabolic syndrome one as well, so I'm going to do that, and I'll probably yeah, that would be really good. And then if you guys have other topics you'd like me to do deep dives on in the future, I'm going to do one on coffee soon. I'm trying to get Purity Coffee. Well, I haven't reached out to them yet, but I want to reach out to Purity Coffee because I tried their coffee recently and I really liked it. They test their coffee for nickel, and so I tried a bunch of different kinds of their coffee, they're instant coffee and they're 2/3 caffeinated or decaf, and they're caffeinated coffee, and I liked all of it. So I'm hoping that I can get them to sponsor our live streams. So we'll see, but you should try that. But I want to do a deep dive on coffee because there's a lot of like really interesting science around that, and that would be relevant, especially because people are worried about coffee because it could potentially have heavy metals in it from the soil, right? I think I'm missing a lot of, yes I am. Why does rice make me constipated? Well, tell us about the rice, Hamza. Are you cooking it fresh after being cooked, or are you eating it right after being cooked? Are you eating it reheated so you get a different type of, you get the resistant starch aspect to it? Are you cleaning it? What kind of rice is it? Is it white rice or is it brown rice? Because the brown rice would be more problematic. You can definitely go without rice. Like I did fine without rice and without really many carbs at all. I did very well on that. Like a ketogenic diet, like carnivore ketogenic diet is like so incredible for me. Especially with a brain injury, because it's very good for the brain. I think I reacted badly to it at the beginning. Now that I have the diet much more dialed in 7 years later, I'm sure I can work some back in. Yeah, that's probably true. Like I can have chocolate now without breaking out. As long as I don't have it like 2 days in a row, you know? Low nickel diet as a vegetarian felt very chaotic at the beginning. Well, we definitely need to do a deep dive on how to do that correctly, and I need people like you to help us. If you don't have a gallbladder, does the nickel still leave through your bile? Yes. So when you don't have a gallbladder, your liver will just slowly drip bile all day long. And that's problematic because the whole point of the bile is to help break down fats. And it's better if and the gallbladder is released through like a series of hormones. As long as your digestive system is working correctly, it's properly, you've got enough acid in your stomach and all this kind of stuff. You chew your food really well. You're not overwhelming it with a bunch of carbs. Like the whole process I talk about in my deep dive on digestion. But bile is supposed to be released only for the most part when you eat, because it helps break down fats. That's like the point of bile. And so when it's just being drip, drip, drip all day long, then you don't get the benefit of that to break down your fat. So you can have more digestive dysfunction if you're without a gallbladder and you're not supplementing bile with your meals, because you're not breaking down that fat as much. So if you didn't know that and you don't have a gallbladder, like definitely look into something like ox bile with your meals. Oh, see, Alexandra is answering. Yes, there just isn't storage. So you don't get that nice squeeze release of a bunch of bile at once. I have seen many, many diseased gallbladders in the last year. I love them. And my favorite is when there's a really big stone, because like I've seen a stone, I think the biggest stone I ever saw was this big in a gallbladder. But usually they're kind of like this size or this size, and they're a whole, like a sphere, like a marble. And then what I do is I take my scalpel and then a hammer and I open it up, and on the inside, it's like a geode. It's like beautiful crystallization. It's really fun. I do supplement with ox bile if my meal is moderate to high fat. Perfect, you know what you're doing. You don't need me. Okay, so let's drain out. We are ready to make the potato salad, and then we will be done. Though I did have some questions that people sent to me that I need to answer before we go, because I promised I would. Okay. Let me drain this. Let's put I didn't have any stones, but the resident that removed mine was so excited to tell me all about how huge and swollen it was. I know, we're still like, when we're residents, we haven't seen hundreds and hundreds of these. I've probably now seen maybe 30 gallbladders, probably around 30 for surgical pathology, maybe a little bit more than that. Probably 35. But I love gallbladders. I think they're super cute. I think they're super important. It makes me mad that people remove them when sometimes they don't need to remove them. It's same with the appendix. I love the appendix. The appendix is super cute. It usually looks like a pinky. People don't know what it's for. Some people say it could be like your backup of your microbiome. But yeah. Hurry up and be in attending already. Man, I'd like that. I would like to actually make some money someday. I had one big stone. Oh, I bet it was a beautiful geode. So your body can make beautiful things, even if it hurts you. Okay, let me drain this. I'm starting to have too much fun with you guys. Potatoes. These are totally overcooked. They're super soft. Oh well. Okay. Let's turn that off. That's good. Okay. All right, there's the potatoes. You see they're already kind of like mushy or whatever. Okay, the chives we'll put on at the end. Put this over here. We need to mix the, get the recipe. So we need 1/2 cup mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon mustard. We need salt. I don't have pepper. You guys know I've been moving, and so I've already moved quite a bit of things, including pepper. I don't use a lot of pepper. You guys know that can have like more nickel in it. But, ooh, I don't like that piece. Let's not have that piece. Okay, let's get the mayo and the mustard. I have so many different kinds of mustard. Okay. How much did it say? 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. Okay, these measuring cups are made out of stainless steel, so you guys are gonna have to deal with it. It's only touching stainless steel for a very short period of time. I think I'm gonna go rogue and I'm just gonna put it directly in this bowl. And one of my hairs got in here, that's gross. Okay. Okay, and then another big thing, and that's probably just about right. And then we're supposed to do 1 tablespoon yellow mustard. We'll just kind of eyeball it. That's probably about a tablespoon. Okay. And then we're also gonna put salt. You don't need to be afraid of salt unless your doctor tells you you need to be. If you have high blood pressure, you have kidney problems, then yes, be careful. But if you don't, then it's not a problem. Salt is very important. So don't be afraid of salt. Salt does not cause hypertension. It does not cause disease. Okay. Let's put some more salt. And then let's put some chives on there. And then I'll put it in the refrigerator and I'll eat it for the next couple of days with my lunch. So just to let you guys know, my meal plans for this week, every morning I'll have my what's it called? Shake. And so right now I'm putting strawberries and banana, yogurt, and then some protein powder, a couple of powdered supplements like acacia fiber. I put a little hyaluronic acid. I put a little, I mean, these are all things for longevity. They're not for low nickel. This is not a low nickel thing. I put that. I put some glycine. What else do I put in there? Maybe someday I'll do like all the things that Laura actually does now that she doesn't have huge reactivity to nickel and she can like focus on other things, kind of stuff, if you guys are interested. But anyway, so that's what I do for breakfast. And then lunch, I have a big thing of my broth with collagen powder in it, about 25 to 30 grams of protein in that. I also add a little bit of curry for the flavor. Then I have like 8 to 10 olives. I have some cheese. I have like a hard-boiled egg or two. And then now I'll have this, this potato salad. So that's like lunch. And then dinner, I'll have like the roast with rice and my sauteed greens. And so that will cover me for the next several days. If you put a couple of spoons of natural yogurt through it, you could take it to another. Dude, that's such a great idea. I'm sure that would be just as good, if not more. Yogurt's awesome. Ooh, you have nickel-free stainless steel. Yeah, it does exist. We need to get sponsored by those people too, because that stuff is expensive. Oh, your partner still has 2 years left of residency? What specialty are they in? Could you do an all-vegan meal? Why would we want to do that? Vegan? I don't think that's possible to eat low nickel in a healthy way and get everything you need on vegan. I'm really sorry. Like, I understand. I have vegan friends. I understand, but you really have to worry about your health first. I wish it was that easy. I mean, I do need to do a vegetarian. Let me write that down. And I can explore the vegan thing, or at least explain why it may not be possible. I will do a deep dive on that. I will do my very best to try to figure it out, but I really don't recommend it until you got totally under control for 6 months to a year, and then maybe. But yeah, I think it would be near impossible to get all the nutrients you need and be vegan and low nickel. But I will do my best to figure it out. But it's not necessary, you know? And I know some people would be really upset with me for saying that, but that's the limits to my knowledge currently, but I will try. What kinds of protein powders are you using? Okay, so I don't recommend protein powders because none of them have been tested yet for nickel contamination. If you're at the beginning of your journey, do not add things like protein powders because you are trying to lower your symptom burden and you cannot be sure that that is not contaminated by nickel. A lot of them are. The protein powder that I use is the Now protein powder. I have not had problems with it, but like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years and my reactivity is way lower now. Okay, no, I do Nutricos. This is what I've been using. I do not recommend it because I don't know for people with nickel allergy how much nickel is in this. Now, if you're eating carnivore, so getting like 20 micrograms of nickel per day tops, then you could mess around with something like this because there's so much buffer. You're trying to keep below 150 micrograms. I mean, it's possible you could get over 300 micrograms of nickel in just a supplement, like a little supplement. They can have so much contamination in those. But if you really, really needed protein powder for some reason, then go super carnivore, super duper low nickel, and then add something like this because you cannot be sure. Now, like I told you guys earlier, not all of you were here. I just got a grant to do research on a certain number of supplements. This study, we do not have protein powders in it, but I'll see what kind of access I have while I'm doing the study, if I can also do some of these just for my own interest, or I could pay them for some time on the instruments to test the ones that I'm using, and I could tell you what mine. But the thing is like this batch could be like 5 micrograms of nickel, but then the batch that they make after this could be like 50 micrograms of nickel. It can change batch to batch. That is why we recommend like the least amount of supplementation as possible until you are totally solid and not reactive anymore, to start adding things in that could be contaminated like this, because you need to be as calm as possible. You know what I'm saying? You need buffer. Okay. I use Natural Force Organic Whey, but I am 7 years, yeah, that's the thing. You can't mess around with this stuff until you're solid, in my opinion, or it's necessary medically. Then listen to your doctor, you know? Always listen to your doctor, but but what I'm saying is, if you're thinking about adding some things in that could be problematic, like really, really be careful and do one thing at a time and give it at least 3 days to see the reaction. Okay, so before I go, there were 1 or 2 questions. Let me find them. Oh, there's just one that was emailed to me. I would like to know, this is from Susan. I hope it's okay I'm saying this, Susan. I would like to know if you should avoid metal packaging when buying cosmetics and toiletries. And if anybody else has opinions on this or experience, please share. There are certain brands of lip balm, toothpaste, and hand cream that come in a metal tin or tube. So I'd like to know if metal packaging is problematic. So this is a really good question. It's definitely going to depend on what kind of nickel allergy you have. Obviously, if you have dermatitis reaction, so on your skin to touching nickel, then obviously you're going to want to like reduce as much metal touching as possible. When it comes to cosmetics and toiletries, would be a much lower on the worry list. So like a lip balm in a metal tin, or toothpaste in a metal tube, or hand cream in an aluminum container. Those things sit at room temperature with very little contact time and without heat or acidity that would increase the amount like drawn from it into the product. So it wouldn't really transfer a meaningful amount of nickel as far as I've seen. But that's really, like, that's different than like a hot coffee in a stainless steel mug, which definitely will draw nickel out. Where I would pay more attention is anything that goes in or around the mouth. If you have allergic contact mucositis to nickel. So that's if you react to like food from nickel, then I would be careful about that. But I wouldn't put a lot of worry into that if you still haven't figured out your water, your food, and your gut health, and your stress and your sleep. Focus on those things because they will have a way bigger bang for your buck than worrying about little things like that or supplements and stuff like that. So that would be my answer to that question. Any last minute questions before I go? Let me know. I'm going to put this in a different container while you guys think about it. Actually, I want to try this. Well, that's good warm. It's going to be good cold. It's going to be more like, because these potatoes were overcooked, it's going to be more like mashed potatoes in a way. That's all right. I really appreciate everyone being here for so long, and I hope you'll come back for my other meal prep stuff. So next week, it's my birthday in 3 days. So I'm going on a birthday trip this weekend with my husband. Very excited about that. And then the week after that, we're gonna do one of the meal plans that's in my community. Probably the histamine one or the gut health one. But I'm gonna do all 4 of them. Thank you for the birthday. Hey, Tammy, I didn't know you were here. Lupus and vasculitis. Lupus is always a good topic for a doctor to review. There's a saying about lupus that is also said about my professor, and he was my mentor in pathology. He said that his mentor said this, but he said, everything you need to know about medicine, you can learning about syphilis, which is on the rise, by the way. But people also say that about lupus. And the reason is because lupus touches like every system. You can get skin symptoms. You can get every kind of symptom that you can imagine. It's a horrible disease. But yeah, I could look into that, lupus and vasculitis. Those are big boards topics too. You don't have to share this, but if you do have lupus, let me know. Is there any high nickel oils? Yeah, soybean oil is incredibly high in nickel. Anything highly processed could have a lot of nickel contamination. I recommend trying to stay away from seed and vegetable oils. They're not necessarily super problematic, but they can be problematic. I would keep to the simplest, oldest types of fats that our bodies evolved to use, like animal fats, like butter, which has all the different kinds of fats. It's very high in very like healthy types of fats, as well as saturated fats. Saturated fats are important. Don't overdo it, but they have, butter has all of the fats in good quantities, as well as like lard can be good. Some people do okay with avocado oil. Some people do okay with coconut oil, olive oil. I primarily use olive oil and butter, but it's not because I'm against other types. It's just what I use personally. I'm a big butter fan. Samantha, happy birthday. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Monica. Oh, thanks for answering that about soy, Tammy. Cherie's just like me, butter and olive oil. Those are the old oils that we've used throughout human history. Let's stick with those. I don't know what I have yet, but I will keep you posted. Okay. All right, guys. Gin. Interesting. So the Homie Chef, I would love to have Homie Chef pans because they're nickel free, if you didn't know. But that's what Jin Shaner, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, did. Switched her pans, his or her pans, their pans, and got pretty immediate relief from that. Same with, we talked about earlier in the stream about filtering water properly, what a big deal that can be for some people. But yeah, okay. Well, thanks for being here. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Sunday. I'm going to be catching up on stuff that's been happening in the community since I have been like kind of MIA for a couple of days, just recovering from boards. I appreciate everyone's patience. Oh yeah, I'm gonna write down that I'm gonna put my nickel food list in the community to, oh, Extrema cookware, that is on my list as well. Yeah, so everybody have a great rest of your week. I will see you 2 weeks from today for the next meal prep in my new apartment. It's gonna be a disaster. So maybe I'll pick the absolute simplest one to do. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.